Okay. So today we are going to be talking about the buyer process. So we are going to be going from point A to point B on how to get your clients from a new person that you've never met before all the way to closing and how to maintain those clients and have a world-class process. So obviously location is very important. You want to get the location so that you can set them up on a home search, obviously, and especially and price too. You obviously want to get that when you're going to set them up on their search. There's a couple ways to ask them about what price point they're interested in without being like, are you pre-qualified? Do you know what I mean? Same with like the mortgage question. Like I always feel sometimes agents can ask this question and it's a little bit aggressive. You don't have enough rapport with them, and that, I feel like you can just like burn a bridge really easily if you don't ask it in a proper way. So for the price, I always just kind of ask them in a nice way. I'm like, oh, do you have an idea of like the top dollar that you'd be interested in spending? And then they'll tell the price. Same with the mortgage. I always kind of just ask the price question, and then usually they'll veer into whether or not they've talked to a broker or not. If they say that they're not really sure, I usually say, okay, well, why don't we just set it for this number, depending on what they're looking for. I feel like 600,000, depending on like, if it's two couples, I feel like 1,000 is like a decent budget that most people can handle. Obviously that depends on their yearly salary, but I also don't want to undermine people either. So I always, if it's two people buying, usually I'll say around 600,000, and then I'll ask them if they have a broker or if they want to talk to their bank. And usually when I bring that up, I just tell them that we have some like rock star mortgage brokers that we really enjoy working with, and they always do very service for their clients. So I always ask them if they'd be interested in communicating with them. Again, I always tell them too, I'm like, we actually don't get anything for sending our clients to these brokers. It's just the fact that they do a really good job for their clients. And I just want to make sure that our clients have the best service possible. So that's how I talk about the mortgage broker question. The agent question, this is another one. People will point blank ask someone, are you working with an agent? Which I feel like is quite blunt and rude. People have different personality types. If someone asked me that, I feel like I'd be pissed off. But if there are other people would be like not offended in the slightest. So it really depends who you're talking to. And if we don't know them very well, it's probably better to err on the side that they might be offended than that they wouldn't be. For this question, I always ask them, I'm like, oh, have you seen any homes on the market as of yet? And if they say yes, I'll be like, oh, awesome. Was it like house or did your agent take you? And then if they say, oh yeah, our agent took us, now you have your opening, right? So if they say that they went to an open house, then they're probably not working with someone yet. When we bring up the agent conversation, if they say that they're working with someone, I'll ask them, I'll be like, oh, no problem. Like, did you already have a search set up? If you don't have a search set up, I can definitely set it up for you, type things. See if they're committed to the agent that they're working with, or if they're still interviewing people to hire someone. So that's a really good question that you need to ask, because otherwise you can get stuck working with a client that, number one, doesn't understand the rule, not the rules, but doesn't understand agency relationships. And to serve your clients the best way possible, we have fiduciary duties, which means it's like the highest level of service out there. And so you have to have confidentiality, full disclosure, avoiding conflict of interest. And in order to do that, you need to have a really good relationship with your client. And if they're working with more than one agent, it's hard to do that. So this is, again, a good topic of conversation. And once someone says this, then I talk to them about what fiduciary duties are and how important it is to hire an agent, and make sure you interview a few and then find the one that you like and trust the most and build a really strong relationship with them so that they can have the best level of service possible. Okay. And then motivation. Obviously, we want to talk about when they're expecting to move, because our timeline is obviously very important. If someone says that they want to move in 2 months, then that means that we actually need to find them a house in the next few weeks. If they say that they're 6 months out, then it's like, okay, well, we actually have a few months to shop, which is nice. But a lot of times too, I feel like people say that they're 6 months out and they're really 3 months out. I don't know, Tony, about you. Do you think that, have you ever had people say like mine and then it actually ends up being that they're a lot sooner than you thought?
Maybe there's been a couple. I guess depends on how frequently. Yeah.
You know what? The market's been weird too because the interest rates increasing obviously scared people off. So maybe they said like, oh, I want to buy now. And then now they've changed their minds, right? So
Yeah.
it's
Like
hard.
I'm just not with them long enough to see if they've switched from what they originally said.
Yeah, that's fair. There are clients that have said to me that they're not wanting to buy right away and that they're like 6 months to a year out. And then as soon as you start moving them through the process, they get really excited and like they start looking at houses and they're like, it's like in their grasp, right? So once they start talking to their mortgage broker and they get a search set up and they see stuff that's out there and they're like, shit, like I wish that I was ready now because I love that one. And then they're not ready. So and it ends up moving them a lot faster. Usually. However, we are in a weird time right now with the interest rates because I mean people are kind of scared about what's happening, right? So
And the media not helping.
the media really doesn't help, man. They just need to cool their jets. It's
They
fear
never do.
mongering.
They don't help in general.
Not helping. They're really not helping. Okay. Next, why can't I think of that word?
Appointment?
No, the
Acronym?
LP. What is it? Acronym.
Acronym?
Yes, acronym. The next one is Ford. Those are that I like the
Haven't
most.
seen that one.
You have not seen this one. Okay.
Not.
Hopefully this one lines up better than the one that I just did. All right. So this one, again, if it's just in the middle of the conversation, you're not going to just like go through this Ford acronym and like trying to be very scripted. This is just like if you're in the middle of a conversation and you're trying to get to know them and you're like, oh, like I just don't really know like what to ask them or like what, you know what I mean? So this one's really good for just building rapport. It's not actually asking them questions in order to get like the location, the price, mortgage, all that stuff. It's more about getting to know them. And I just realized that I missed the appointment one. So I'm going to come back to that after, which probably makes more sense because I talk about getting an appointment with them a little bit later as well. So this one is family. So again, you can ask them, you're like, oh, who's making this move with you, right? So then they'll tell you if they have a spouse that's going to be helping them with the move and that they're going to be having another decision maker, which is a very important question to have an answer to. Because if you do your consultation, which is the appointment that I was just talking about, and you only have one decision maker at that appointment, you are screwing yourself. Poo-poo, do not do that. You need both people, both decision makers at the consultation, because a lot of times they can butt heads if you don't have them both there, and one person will be asking the other person a question who is actually there, and then that person doesn't have the answer to that question, and then now you don't have rapport with both of them. It's very important to make sure that they're both on the same page. So finding out about their family, obviously decision makers, and then if they have pets, right? Pets are a big thing, especially if you're going into a strata or a pad situation. If they have kids, right? Like sometimes there are, especially in mobile home parks, sometimes those are like 55 plus. There's some apartments that are 55 plus or adult only parks. So knowing about their family and then obviously just getting to know them too, right? Like I have a family. So if someone talks about having a family, I'm like, oh, like how old are your kids? And like you want to ask them those questions. You don't want it to feel too rushed, like you're just hammering it out so that you can move on to the next person. I always make friends with people. Next one would be occupation. This one I rarely end up asking, but it is good to know, especially if they want to live close to where they work. So, I mean, maybe not so much here in Kamloops because everything is within driving distance. But if you were in Vancouver and someone was like, oh, I work over at whatever, and then you're trying to narrow down the areas of where they prefer to live and they want highway access to get to where they work. Obviously, where they work and what they do for work is a big deal. So finding out their occupation. And again, another point of conversation as well. R stands for recreation. If I start spelling things wrong, you let me know. Recreation. Recreation, obviously, it's like, tell me, like, what do you like to do? Do you like hiking? Do you like skiing? Do you like fishing? Like, what is it that they like? Kamloops is filled with recreation activities. Like you can literally do anything and everything within 15 minutes of our city, which is absolutely amazing. But not all cities are like that. And it's possible that you might want them in a certain area if they like doing certain things, right? So is really important as well. And then this one is corny, but what are their dreams, right? So if you could have like the perfect house, like what would that look like? Because I mean, if we can check off as many boxes as possible, then that would be amazing. Or if there was like a perfect location, what would that look like? Because I feel like a lot of times, and I actually did a poll on this on my Instagram. I was like, if you had the choice between your dream house, not in the right location, or a house that you don't necessarily love, but it's in the perfect location, like which one would you pick? And everyone always picked location.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Always pick location, which I didn't realize that that was such a big thing, but I do feel it in our current house right now because we weren't planning on staying because I'm like, I don't love this house. However, our street is amazing. The kids actually get to ride their bikes up and down the street, play with the other kids on the block. It's close to the park. It's close to the beach. It's like, maybe I will stay here for a while, even though, again, it's not my dream house. But
I know you can change a house, but not where it is.
yeah, exactly. I didn't realize location was such a big deal until number one, we bought this house. And number two, I took that poll and literally everyone was like, nope, it's location. Location. Anyway, so these are like ways that you can get to know your clients. Obviously, building rapport with them is very, very, very important. You don't want them to feel like they're just like another client on your roster. You want them to feel like you actually genuinely care, which I hope that you actually do. There's a lot of agents out there that I feel like just do this for the paycheck, not that they actually give a shit. So if that's the way that you feel, you're in the wrong business. You need to actually care. You need to actually care. But one thing that I do want to highlight is when we are going through this stuff is that quality questions like are so important. Like don't just like hammer out a bunch of questions that like, where do you work? And then they'll tell you where they work and that's it. Right. Or like, what hobbies do you like? And then they'll tell you and that's it. Like you need to actually ask a quality question to get to actually have a conversation. Be like, oh, so tell me, like, what is it that you like to do in your free time? Right. And then that'll actually trail into a conversation. So quality questions, I always feel really important. The part that I missed on the first thing, which maybe I did it intentionally, like subconsciously, I did it intentionally to skip this appointment part until now, because once you get to know them, the next point that almost all agents miss is that you forget to ask for the appointment, right? So you get to know them, but then you don't ask them for the consultation. I feel like a lot of times people think that the consultation is already happened through the first conversation that you had with them. But there's actually statistics out there that say that you need to have like 5 to 8 conversations / touch points with a possible client before they're actually like attached to you. So whether that's like texting, emails, phone calls, like you name it, like you actually have to have like multiple conversations with people. And that's on average, obviously. Sometimes you get other people who are like a client right off the hop and they just like use you no matter what. But there's a lot of people who sign up to the website and or that they'll call you, but then they don't owe you anything. And then get your name. Getting in front of them more than one time is obviously very important. And your consultation is a big thing that you need to ask them. And so once you kind of get to know them, I always talk about how we do exploratory tours. And so in the exploratory tours that we do, we find homes that they might not check all of their boxes, but they're in certain areas that they prefer. And then I say, why don't we get together on a Saturday? We go check out a few homes that are available, and then we can really narrow down the list on what's important to you and what's not. And on top of that, it's really good to build a database of information, because while I've been in the industry and I see houses all the time, they don't. So it's good for them to be able to go out, see houses in person, check out the different areas. Again, process of elimination, not a process of selection. I feel like a lot of times we do a process of selection and that's just not the way that it is. We should actually be narrowing it down instead of actually like adding things to the list. If there's something that's not going to work for them, we really need them to like sink in and be like, you know what, 100% this isn't going to work. I don't need to check out this place, right? So getting that conversation is really important. Like I said, talking exploratory tours and then selecting a date for the exploratory tours. And then how I get back to the consultation is that you set the tentative appointment for the exploratory tour and they'd be like, do you have 30 minutes the night before, whatever day that you set the appointment for Saturday, 10 a.m., we're going to go look at a handful of houses. How about we meet over Zoom, or how about I come over for a quick coffee for about 30 minutes on Friday evening, heck, even after the kids go to bed, to go over some of the houses that you want to look at. And then I can give you our VIP buyer program as well. And it'll kind of just give you a step-by-step, play-by-play on how the process actually works. Anyways, but they always say yes, because you have a tentative time booked for the exploratory tour. When you get that consultation, I always send our PDF of our VIP buyer program. If you don't have a VIP buyer program, or if you don't have like a buyer process or something, I think it's very important to create one, because while you can have conversations with people about things, it's really good for you to be able to give them something to take home that they can actually refer back to. So for us, our VIP buyer program, it kind of just goes over the process. We have a few different pillars that make the process. Number one is that it's your like pre-consultation, pre-search, which is getting everything set up, right, for your search. And then the next step is actually shopping. And then the next one is closing. But we also talk about like referral partners, and we talk about like pain points as well, right? So things that are a big deal. Like we know you have pets, because you might not be able to fall into data that doesn't allow large dogs. Maybe you had a really bad experience with communication last time. So we talk about that, making sure that we don't make the same mistakes that agents made previously, which Tony, you and I talked about that on our last Zoom. We were talking about pain points and how important it is to actually like learn what those pain points are, and then like learn from those mistakes of past agents so that we don't do the same thing moving forward. On the PCS program that we use, I think that every board has a program to set their clients up on, which is like a backstage pass to the MLS system. For us, Interior Board of Realtor, I think it's all of BC actually. I was just thinking about it because we have Interboard, which gives us all of Fraser Valley. It gives us all of like the interior boards, Kootenays, like all of that. So I had to think about for a second if I was going to be talking about something that people don't actually know. But on the PCS program that we have, Private Client Services, we always set up all of our clients on there. And something that we also do is that we, getting behind them, I think, make sure that you always hear the solds. There are some agents out there that I know that they're like, well, I don't want them to know what it's sold for. And like, we're the only ones with access to that information. So I don't want to give them full access to it, because then what if they don't need me anymore? Like, I've heard that a few times. Honestly, I think adding value to your clients is so huge. They should have access to the solds, and we should be coaching them through it step by step, giving them all the information they need so that they can make the best decision for them and their family. I don't want to have to pull teeth and drag them along. I want them to walk with me through the process. Because if you don't get access to all the information, how are they supposed to have enough trust in you that you're actually helping them make the right decision for them? That they're able to make the right decision. If that makes sense.
It does. Yeah. 100%. There's no such thing as too much information. Right.
And like, if another agent didn't give them that option and now you're giving them that option, like, they'll just trust you that much more. There was a survey that went out that said that I think it was like 80% of people wouldn't use the agent that they used last time. And then there was also another survey that came out that said the number one thing that they looked for in their agent was trust. So giving them too much information, no such thing. Like, give them everything that they need, because number one, you're going to build loyalty with your clients. And number two, you're going to have like a walk in the park getting from point A to point B because they trust you. And now you're holding hands going through the process instead of like dragging them, trying to show them the way. But you're not
and then it's painful for both of you and the client.
100%. And I mean, at the end of the day, the goal is to earn referrals too. So, I mean, if you can help them through the process in a way that it's not a freaking tug of war, you're just going to earn those referrals, which honestly, referrals is the way to work. You don't want, it takes 10 times as much energy to get new clients as it does to like convert somebody who's already like a warm lead that's a referral. So there was one more thing. Oh, the other thing too, that I feel like a lot of people don't know that this is an option on the PCS program is that you can actually say you have someone who's like, oh, like I'm a year out, da 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 da, and they don't want to get set up on a search because it's just like, well, I'm kind of just like early looking. And again, we want to talk to them about building a market, but helping them build market knowledge so that when it does come time for them to buy or sell real estate, that they know what's going on in the market. And so a good way to do that is to get them on that PCS program. But if they don't want to be bombarded with emails, there is a way that you can actually change it so it doesn't send you new listings every single day that there is a new listing in that criteria. I think it's on like one of the first buttons that you push. It says like settings or something, and just at the top just at the top above their email, it actually says like how often you want those emails to go out. So you can do bi-weekly, you can do semi-monthly, you can do like every 5 days, like you can pick what you want. And so that's another way to get them in the system, but not bombard them with a bunch of information. And then you can set yourself a reminder that when they get closer, maybe 6 months from now you adjust it to be like, hey, we actually want to see these more often because we're actually going through the pre and search portion of the buyer process in the next 6 months. So how often settings, I guess, would be the other thing that I was talking about. We want to make sure to put all of the clients into your CRM. I feel like this is probably like a big thing that when agents get started, they don't know, they might not have a CRM. They might not see the purpose of a CRM, but as you grow, having an online database of all your clients is very important because people will start falling through the cracks. Because as you build a pipeline, you start talking to people, everyone's on a different schedule. So you might have some people are buying in the next 30 days. You might have some people who are buying in the next 90, 120. And if you don't have them in a CRM, you're not going to remember how often you're supposed to talk to these people. So no matter when or where we talk to people, I'll go do a CMA, for example. And then like I messaged you, Tony. I was like, hey, this is what his house looks like. Because I took a bunch of notes and I'm like, here's his phone number. Here's his email. Please put him into the system because I don't want to forget him. Or people sign up to Realtor. Someone sends us an email from realtor.ca about one of our listings. And the same thing can happen where it's like one shot done. They never answer you. And then now you just lost a lead. That a free lead, by the way. Realtor.ca doesn't charge leads that they have come in. And again, with all the statistics of how much you actually need to contact someone in order for them to actually turn out to be your client, it's important to put them into a CRM so you don't forget. So if you don't have one yet, go get a CRM. I feel like there's ones that are very, very cheap. And a lot of times your brokerage provides you a CRM as well. So for us they provide us with a CRM, which is actually a really good CRM. I've used like 4 of them and that one's actually pretty good. Other options, Top Producer, actually I've used before. It's pretty good. Real Geeks has one as well. And that one's pretty good too. Making sure that you have them on your drip campaigns and follow-up tasks being triggered. Like I said, you don't want to forget about people. Okay. And then I don't want to delete this, but I don't know how to scroll down. Next step. What time are we at? Oh, we're at 12 o'clock. Although I guess we started late. Okay. So next step is that you want to start showing homes and set up expectation. Is that how you spell expectation? So showing homes and setting up expectation. I feel like this is actually really important and a lot of agents don't do this either, is that something that I learned, number one, the more times you fail, the more times you're going to be successful because we always have to make mistakes in order for us to learn from those mistakes, in order for us to move forward and not do it again. So if you do make mistakes, it's normal. And I feel like the people who are most successful are the ones who have also failed the most. This is what I have learned for setting up expectation. You are in a house and the clients love the house. Now that they love the house, I start going through and I start picking things out that might show up in the home inspection so that when they do their home inspection, they aren't surprised. Now, I feel like there's quite a few agents out there that don't know what to look for. I have learned this through going on realtor tour that a lot of agents don't know what a high efficient furnace looks like. A lot of agents don't know where to check the date for the hot water tank. People don't know what poly B piping looks like. People don't know signs of settling of a foundation, stuff like that. So number one, there are courses out there for, we have one even on our board that's called Know Your Product. If you guys have not taken that course, it's a freaking awesome course. And you should know these things so that you can set up expectation with your clients so you can get them from point A to point B in the easiest way possible. Because while those things, if you can talk intelligently about certain items, you're not going to blow the deal. Right? And if people know about them in advance, they're not going to be upset when they pop up in the future. It's all about the psychology of people. People don't like being surprised. Okay. So that's another thing too, is that when we go through, say, for example, I had this client in this apartment building and she was asking me about like the home inspection and this and this. And I was like, look at everything in this house right now, because anything that you can clearly see, the seller is not going to want to renegotiate with you after the home inspection. I was like, you cannot come back you could try, but again, it's probably not going to be favorable. And then you're probably going to collapse the deal because now you're butting heads with each other. So I'm like, every time I go through a house and someone has like an inkling that they like it, I'm like, okay, what is it here that you are going to need money for in order to fix? So for example, the lino was ripped. And I'm like, okay, so you know the lino is ripped. So we're going to negotiate a price knowing that you are happy with replacing the lino once we get an accepted offer because you already saw it. Because we don't want to do our home inspection and then you come back and say that, oh, the lino ripped, even though you already saw it, and try and get money off after the fact because it's probably not. So setting up expectations, very, very, very important. Honestly, you will have a significantly higher ratio of houses that have closed if you can set up expectation with your clients in advance, right? So you go through a house that needs work, be like, look, this is going to have a lengthy home inspection. It's just going to happen. Home inspectors are actually there to find problems. They will find even problems in new construction that have passed building code. It just happens. So very important. Once we get an accepted offer, the buyer process that we have, again, not all agents are built equally. Everyone has different processes. Like, I think that's the beautiful thing about real estate is that we all have our own business. So you can really do whatever you want. You can add whatever you want. You can take away whatever you want, you name it. For us, I didn't have this for the first little while, the team that I in their buyer process, but I freaking love what we're doing now. And I feel like it has like leveled us up to be that much better for our clients. So once you get an accepted offer for your clients, we have our admin. So Cheryl, she'll send a accepted offer checklist, which I feel like is huge. I am not an analytical person. However, there are many people out there that really appreciate a checklist so that they can go through and be like, okay, I did this, I did this, I did this. So we have it branded and it has literally everything that they need to know in this accepted offer checklist. We send it in an email. We give them the checklist in the email. And then we give them a printable PDF version so that they can print it if they want, stick it on their fridge, check it off as they go. Okay. In that checklist, which I feel like I could actually post as well for people, is that we have like, did you book your home inspection? Did you send your paperwork to your broker? Did you shop around for insurance? Did you approve the title? Did you approve the building information request? Like all of that stuff, making sure that they've literally checked off all those items. Did you get your strata documents? Like, did you talk to the strata manager? Did you all these things so that they can make sure that they didn't forget a single thing? Obviously, we check in with our clients periodically throughout that checklist as well, making sure that they have gotten everything done. Once we are at the waiving of subjects step, I go through everything again. So I'm like, okay, are you okay with the title? Like, did you read the title charges? Do you have any questions on that? Did you get the building information request? Do you have any questions about that? Just all of those things, making sure they did get their insurance, because a lot of times they don't think it's a big deal, and it is a big deal that they need their freaking insurance, or sometimes they even forgot up for it. So that's another one, making sure that we got all those things. And then we obviously send them the electronic signature to say, yes, we're happy with all these things. Obviously, in the middle of all that, there's lots of stuff that kind of happens, which would be like renegotiating. If you have your home inspection, there could be getting documents, brokers in the middle of all that, lots of little things in between. But generally speaking, that's the way that it kind of goes. I actually book the home inspection for a lot of my clients. Obviously, I give them options on who we work with closely and who has done a good job for our clients in the past. If they are happy to go with someone, I'm like, did you want me to reach out for you? Or did you want me to do their contact info? And same with mortgage brokers. A lot of times I will get the mortgage broker email and I will send the accepted offer with all the documents that they need. And I'll CC the client in it saying like, please see attached for accepted offer for Tony, Bobby. Let me know if you need anything else. And I CC the client so that they know that the document actually went to their broker as well. After we remove subjects, we do this in advance, but we set reminders for almost everything. Because as soon as you have like 4 closings back to back, you are going to be forgetting literally everything, unless you have like a steel vault for that you don't forget anything. But honestly, reminders. No, Tony, you're like, write it down.
No one doesn't.
No. Set reminders. Like we have checklists for things not to forget. Cheryl does all of this for us, but she has access to my Google Calendar. She sets reminders for the closing date, the possession date. She sets reminders for when the home inspections are booked. She sets reminders for subject removals, when deposits are due, like all of that stuff. Because again, after you have like 5 deals on the go and they're all closing at different times, and yeah, you need to remember all that stuff, obviously. So set reminders for everything. And then I also send out an email probably about 3 weeks before closing, just seeing how the clients are doing. Because I mean, once you remove subjects, your contact amount goes down significantly. So I set a reminder in my phone for 3 weeks before closing for my clients so that I can send them an email and say, hey, Tony, just wanted to double check and make sure that you have heard from your lawyer. Do you have an appointment set with them? Did you get Cheryl's moving checklist? Because she also sends out a moving checklist. And on the moving checklist, again, it's a printable PDF and it says like hire a moving company, disconnect/reconnect hydro, disconnect/reconnect Fortis. Did you set up your internet? Did you forward your mail? All of that stuff. So she sends that already, but then I just send a reminder email seeing if they got the email and if they have their appointment with their lawyers and stuff like that. I already talked about the what's next checklist. Oh, big one. Asking for a review before your closing happens. So we used to do it where we would send ask for a review after it's closed. But people just aren't really in that mindset anymore. They're not excited. It's same with asking for referrals. You want to ask early in the transaction because everyone is really excited about what's going on. And it's the top of their mind. It's like when you buy a new car, now all of a sudden everyone's driving your damn car. When it's at the top of your mind, that's when you want to ask. So before closing, ask your review. Reviews are huge. We have gotten so many leads from people Googling real estate companies, and then our name pops up and we have like 60 reviews, I think now. So very important. Ask for your review before closing. So then we have possession day. So we always get the key. Make sure you arrange your keys, obviously, with your with the seller's agent. And if you can get your keys early, I always possession day for the day after completion. So say, for example, you complete on a Thursday, which is good. Try not to close on Fridays because if anything goes sideways, here you go. Learning from past mistakes. You close on a Friday and then the lawyer's office closes and they didn't get it done. And now it's not going to close till Monday and your clients are homeless for 2 days. Never close on a Friday. Close on Thursday if you can, or any other day that gives you more time. Because if something goes sideways, you want the lawyers to come back to work before 2 days rolled away. So you can close on a Thursday, and always give keys the next day. Do not give keys the same day. Because number one, you're setting up expectation that it might close early and that everything is going to be smooth as pie, which never I mean, it does happen, but on the off chance that it doesn't happen, now you look terrible. So I always close the next day, and then I look like a superhero when I get them keys early, which sounds terrible. But if you can get your keys early, I always try. So for example, today I have a closing today, which is on a Friday. But the reason that happened is because they were selling a place that already had the closing date on a Friday. So I couldn't close a day early because they didn't have their money yet. Either way, though, my possession day is tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. But I'm going to talk to the seller's agent and see if I can get keys early, because if they can get keys tonight, now I look like a superhero, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to try and do that, but always arrange your keys, arrange times with your clients. Make sure you have a closing gift. We make a lot of money off of real estate. So giving them something and a thank you for using you as a realtor is very important. Honestly, anything they would appreciate, any thank you. I didn't get a closing gift from my realtor, and I was like, not a thank you card, nothing. So it's very important to appreciate your clients for using, no matter how big or small, anything. And make sure you do your walkthrough with your client. Sometimes I didn't even get a walkthrough with my agent. I'm like really about it. You should do a walkthrough, make sure everything's good. And if it's not good, fix it. I think that's a big thing too, is that a lot of times agents won't fix the problem. They'll be like, oh, sorry, it is what it is. If the house is dirty, get a freaking cleaner in there to help your clients, because that's one of the worst things that can happen is you're moving in and now you have someone's filth, right? All the curtains are gone, and it was written into the contract. Go get them a freaking gift card so that they can buy some damn curtains. It's not a big deal. Just level up, go do something nice for them. They will appreciate it. It's literally not going to hurt your pocketbook. Go do the nice thing for them. And then obviously checking in with your clients a few days after closing and setting them up for their after sales process. Because one of the worst things can be when you don't talk to your clients again. I don't understand how that's a thing, but it happens. It definitely happens. That's all I have. Would you add anything, Tony? Like when you were going through your process, was there anything that you would be like, I wish this happened?
No, I don't think so. I never got a list or anything, so that would have been nice, like just to make sure that I'm on the right track, even though it was like pretty self-sufficient.
Have it
But
down
even if
pat.
they are, it's just nice to know that you've covered all your bases for sure. Getting a gift definitely is nice. And then just the walkthrough. I didn't get a walkthrough with the first house, I don't think, but I know that Bobby went there before I did. We had a walkthrough on this one, and so that was good. Because then you also have like a second set of eyes for just that someone else has seen the house too before you're moving in. So they know what state it was when you made the offer versus you taking possession.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what's really shitty too is that sometimes people will sell their house and then they literally won't clean again until they move, or they'll move and they won't clean again. Like I had this one in Logan Lake. I remember when we went through, we're like, yeah, it's not terrible. Like, it is what it is. And then when we moved, we were like, this house was not in this condition when we looked at it like 2 months ago. It's like she literally didn't do a single thing for 2 months. Like it
It's
was
so
just
crazy because a house is such an expensive purchase. How would you not want it to be nice for the next homeowner?
I know. But you know what? You know what's the sad thing too? The nice houses, those are the ones that do get taken care of. And they sometimes have like closing gifts for the clients. Like the seller will leave like a bottle of champagne for the new buyers and like a little note. It's like really cute. But it's like the lower priced homes that usually you get some like really shitty people on the one side, and they just don't give a fuck, which is like terrible. And I'm like, I don't know what it matters, whether it's a $200,000 house or $1 million house. Like people should be trying to leave it in a good condition regardless. But it just seems like the lower price ones, they just don't really care. And it's like a lot of them I've dealt with, like you can get some really nice ones that are like really well taken care of. But honestly, I've had a number of them that they just like are trashed when we get it. And I'm like, why?
That's rude, but I'm glad to hear that other people will leave like a note and champagne.
Yeah.
So, because I left like a big letter and all the
Oh,
receipts for the warranty work and just like a bunch of things. And my contact number. So she actually ended up like the new homeowner texted me I don't know, like a couple of months after taking possession, and she asked if I would help her with warranty on the dishwasher because something happened. And I was like, it's nice that like she's not like mad at me for a shitty dishwasher, but
Well,
like
I mean,
just I want her to enjoy the home. We enjoyed the home. Why wouldn't I want her to enjoy it?
yeah, no kidding. Oh, yeah. The last weekend I had 2 closings and they both left something behind for them. It was really sweet. So, the one up in Batch, they left, it was so cute. So she had it was obviously used because it was something that one of her friends must have given her previously. It was like one of those like tumbler wine glasses. Anyways, and it said Real Housewives of Bachelor Heights on it. Anyway, so she left that behind for her and was like, welcome to the Bachelor Heights Club type thing. And then like a bottle of Prosecco, like champagne, like so sweet, and left her like this really nice note and was like,
Yeah.
if you need anything, so and so lives next door. They're really lovely. And like, yeah, so good. And then the other one left a really big house plant, which was a beautiful house plant, by the way. I was like, if my clients don't want it, I will take it. If I can like hoist it out of there, I guess. And then they also left like a note, I think, and like some wine or something.
Yeah,
they
that's really nice.
something. I can't remember what it was, but I don't know. Really nice. Really nice when people do stuff like that for sure.
Yeah, it's a huge purchase. And then like this house, I was like, well, it was more than $500,000. Why couldn't it have been clean?
I
Like,
know. So annoying.
regardless of whatever homes are going for, it's just that like 500,000 is an insane amount of money.
Yeah.
So why can't it just be clean?
Yeah. On top of that, too, just a side note is that there are some like really good agents out there to work with, and there's some like really shitty ones out there as well. And I just want to know how big of a deal it is to be like working, to be the person that you wish you had on the other side of a transaction. Like,
Mhm.
it really sucks when a house closes and then there's a problem and the agent on the other side's not willing to help you with it at all. Like, I just feel like that's a huge mistake because you have to work with these people. You're going to put deals together with them in the future, and you want to be collaborative realtor so that people want to work with you. Like, especially with multiple offers, we've been in the market where every house has like 15 offers on it. And if you're an agent that's been a dick for the last 10 years, and then now you are trying to present offers and like no one wants to play with you. And I mean, it's crappy to say that, but honestly, if you are known for just being a jerk on the other side, not doing the right thing, and just butting heads with everybody, like it's really hard for you to represent your clients properly when no one wants to play with you. So
Exactly.
if your clients move out of a house and they leave a bunch of shit behind, be a good human and like help the buyer's agent fix the problem so that you can like move, have a good relationship in the future. Because there's a lot of agents out there that'll be like, sorry, not my issue.
Not my problem anymore.
Yeah. But then other ones that we have dealt with who are absolutely amazing. And they will, for example, one agent ended up hiring a like dump removal company to like come take the shit away from this mobile that I bought, had my clients buy. They were flipping it. Number one, we found a homeless person in the freaking shed. Craziness. And then there was shit left everywhere, and she just did all of it. And then I offered to pay for half of it, and she told me no. And I was like, okay. I was like, I'm going to owe you next time. But then there's been other ones that are like, that's just the way that it is. And I'm
The way
sitting
it
in,
goes sometimes.
oh, brutal, man. Now I'm like, oh, please never let me have to look at one of their houses ever again.
Yeah.
But a telltale.
Cleanliness is a hard one though.
Hmm?
Cleanliness is a hard one though. Like, because you never know if
Yeah.
good enough to satisfy them and just, but yeah,
Everyone's,
take all your shit.
yeah, that one that we had cleaned, and then they were like, oh, it's still dirty. And I'm like, no, like it was 100% clean. Like just their level of cleanliness was like next level.
Exactly. And that's probably the case with like this house when we moved in. Because like on the surface it looked fine. It's just when you started like if you were to like visit after I'd moved in, you would never know it was dirty
Mm,
until you start like looking at it. So technically that's a good transaction. Like that technically went very well in comparison to how other transactions could have gone. Like they at
yeah.
least didn't leave shit everywhere.
Oh my God. I ended up opening the freezer that they left in the backyard, and Cody was like, why did you do that? And I was like, I don't know. I even breathed in when I did it. I don't even like understand why I thought that it was a good idea. I was just curious.
We're gonna look out for a week after.
Oh, it was so bad. So bad. Cody's like, don't open it. And I was like, oh, but what if there's something messed up in there?
There's no way anything good would have been in there.
I know. It's terrible. I just wanted to see.
Yeah.
Anyways, that is the buyer process.
It is good. Everyone should do it.
You should. And if people have anything good to add, everyone put it in the comments.